it is read aloud time. All right, so today I'm going to read a very special book. This book is so special that it's actually received an award. Yes, it's got a Caldecott Medal. It's a great little book. This is a very prestigious award for a book to receive. Prestigious just means it's a big deal, okay? And this book is called The Relatives Came. Will you read that with me, please? The relatives came. Look at the relatives. Look at that. Do you know what relatives are? Family. Relatives are family. People that are related to you. Yeah, the relatives came. This story is by Cynthia Rylant. That is the author, Cynthia Rylant. And the illustrator is Stephen Gammell. Now, just to remind you, the author is the person who writes the story, and the illustrator is the person who does the pictures. And another way to say pictures are illustrations, which sounds a lot like the word illustrator, which is Stephen Gammell. This is hardcover book. What is this? Spine. What is this? Back cover. What is this? Front cover. What is this? Title. Very good. This is an award. Say that. Award. It's kind of like a trophy. They can't put a trophy on a book, so they put an award on it. Okay? Very nice. Very good book. All right, let's see. We have a title page, which just kind of shows another cute little illustration, and the title and the author and the illustrator again. And then this is all about who put this book together and built it. And we have a dedication page over here, which we'll talk about that another day. I love that this is a 2-page spread, which shows that the picture is going across both pages. It's one big, beautiful picture. That's so nice. Move my laptop over a little bit. All right, so they have a lot of luggage, don't they? When relatives come, they bring a lot of stuff, don't they? Do you ever have relatives come to your house? I just had a whole bunch of relatives at my house because my daughter graduated high school. My house was full. They brought all of their stuff. They brought their animals. My father has cockatiel birds. He brought his birds. It was kind of crazy. A lot like this book. But it's wonderful at the same time. Let's read The Relatives Came. A beautiful 2-page spread. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. So there they are, packing all that luggage in that little tiny car. I love the pictures. Uh-oh, somebody lost their luggage, huh? Not good. Let me see if I can do this. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car, and in it they put an ice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches, and they came from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. They even knocked down their own mailbox. I don't know if I'd want to be in that car. Look at the journey that they were on. They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. It's quite a journey. That is the worst part, when you're expecting company to come and when are they going to be here? When are they going to be here? Looks like they arrived. Look. So they drank up all their pop and they ate up all their crackers and traveled up those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. Look at the luggage, it's not even hanging on anymore. Just and they crashed into a fence. Look at they're that excited. Oh, look, isn't it nice? This is the best part. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. Isn't that nice? They hadn't seen each other in a while. Even the dog's excited. Look it. Isn't that sweet? And then it was into the house, and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. They're so happy to be together again. Yeah, this is exactly what it was like in my house a couple of days ago. Well, about a week or so ago. Oh, there we go. And finally, after a big supper, 2 or 3 times around until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s through the house. Yeah. The dog's getting a little treat. This little baby's knocked a bunch of food on the floor. It's all good. Oh dear. Sleeping time. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good, since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us, and the rest slept on the floor. Some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another person. Even the dog is comfortable. I love how they put the dog in the family too. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden and they fixed any broken things that they could find. Isn't that nice? They ate up all our strawberries and melons and then promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we went to Virginia with them. Getting a lot done. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and just breathing together. Uh-oh, are they leaving? finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and we waved them off in the dark. And we watched the relatives disappear down the road. And then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big now and too quiet. And we fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about next summer. Their mailbox is still broken. Attention to detail. There's their grapes. Waiting for them when they got home. The relatives came. I'd love to hear a story about your relatives.